Welcome back. We've got nice and organized. I want to show you just a few things that I did to clean up the session and organize the buses and get my flow right and understand where everything is at all times. So I'm just going to run through that real quick, and then we're going to get into these drums and starting to get levels and kind of show you where I start with a mix, right? So first thing I want to show you is I've mapped everything. So I've taken all the vocals and taken them to a vocal mix bus, as you can see here. So that is going out a vocal mix bus for all the vocals. The vocal mix bus is here. It's then going to an all vox bus. So I usually have a mix bus and then an all bus for everything. And the reason being is I want to have like a mix bus where I can put overall compression, EQ, you know, send it to parallel processing, etc. And then I also want like an all bus so I can mute and solo really easily. Here's an example of that. If I come up to the top, I have my master bus, which everything is getting fed to the master bus that are the all buses, because that's where everything ends up, is the all vox, the all drums bus, the all instrument bus. So now when I want to hear, let's say, a mix of just the vocals and the drums, or the vocals and the instruments, etc., I can just do this.
101 Redwoods attack. You gotta stay on the road when you're moving the black. There's people flying off the edge just like Susie's a cat. When you show up, take a second, don't forget where you're at. Now don't get caught in your tent, that's a Squatch trap. Now all aboard, come along.
So very powerful to have an all bus, just so you can go do 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 do. You know, I want to hear just the bass and the vocals. I want to hear the bass and drums only, right? You can do it as much as you want. You can micro it out to all bass, all acoustic guitars, all electric guitars, all, you know, but I like to get them down to about 3 to 4 buses where it's all drums, all vocals, all instruments. That's really, you know, unless there's some other stuff like an orchestral thing where you have strings and you have horns and all that. So I might break it down more for that. But this is a pretty, you know, it's like a rock, folk rock rap kind of thing. So it only needed for me all vox, all drums, and all instruments. Now all these all buses, all the all buses, I know it's going to get a little confusing. Hopefully you're following along fine. They're all being fed by the mix buses. So I have a drum mix and master bus, and then the drum master bus goes to the all drums bus. And then I might have a, you know, a vocal mix bus that goes to the all vocal bus. Then I have the instrument mix bus that then goes to all instrument bus. I have a bass bus, right? So all the basses are going to a bass bus that then goes to an instrument bus that then goes to an all instruments. You know, so it's may get a little confusing, but follow along because it's not really that difficult. And if you understand what's going on, then you're going to work a lot faster. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to this kick drum because I think I have a sneaking suspicion that it's just not there, right? And that's probably why this 808 was probably layered in here. But let's make sure that kick drum really starts to work with the track. And we might even mess around with some sample enhancement using Trigger 2, right? One of my favorite plugins to do that. So I'm excited to show you guys that stuff. Let's listen to the drums on their own. I'll just start bringing them in. Kick, snare, 808. I'm going to bring stuff in one at a time. And we'll just start adjusting some levels as well, okay?
Going back if he won't let you.
So usually the first thing I'll do with a kick drum, especially if there's a kick in and out, I'll just throw an EQ on one of them, you know, whatever you can do to be able to flip the phase on it. And that's just because I want to hear what it would sound like if the phase was flipped. One of my favorite plugins for that, just really basic, simple plugin is, you know, go into like Waves, Bundle, and the API, you know, 55A or B. Either one of these is fine. They have a phase switch on here, so it just makes it easy. So I'm just going to basically hit this polarization, just flip the phase 180 degrees and see if, you know, if they're in phase or if they're out of phase, if we can kind of line them up a little bit better. You can also, you know, really zoom in on the waveform and you can tell that pretty quick. But to my ears, they sound kind of phasey. So let's just hear them here if I flip the phase on the in. No, they're in phase pretty much. They're a little out of phase, but they're not 180 degrees out of phase. So There's a couple things you could do with that, but at this point with this kick drum, I'm just not sold on it. It's just not there. It sounds very boxy, like someone's kicking a, you know, has like a felt tip hitting a paper bag, like, you know, or like a cardboard box or something. So it's just, it's not doing it for me. And here's a big lesson in mixing that I learned pretty quickly, is that when you don't have the source material, you don't sit there and try to get that source material to be the source material. You just find new source material, right? Like don't sit here and try to like get this kick drum to work, right? It would take you, this could take you hours to get this kick drum to sound good. So let's hear what they did with this 808, because I think the 808 is just kind of coming in every once in a while. All right, important, but not that important. So the 808 I'm not going to worry about right now. The kick out, I'm actually just going to hide and make inactive, and I'll show you why in a second. Another thing you can do is check the kick drum in the overheads. That's a very important aspect of this. So you can like solo out these overheads and the kick drum, and let's listen to that. All right, sort of like a, I don't know why they chose to do that, but I think that was probably, that's something I would never do, is like sweep all the low end out of the overheads. Maybe the rooms have the kick drum in them. Let's check that out. Let's see kind of what they were thinking, because this RCA, I'm sure in the rooms probably have a good amount of the kick drum in them. So I'm just kind of like figuring out this mix, like what's going on here? What were they going for? As far as this drum sound, because the drum sound to me is just not there. All right, let's hear the rooms with the kick drum here. So as you can hear, it's just the kick drum's just not there. It's not like existent in this track, which is kind of a big no-no to me. So it's kind of, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to worry about making this kick drum sound great and go EQ it and compress the crap out of it and do all this stuff. There's literally no reason to do that. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a Slate Digital trigger. Okay, so I'm going to go trigger 2. This is a kick drum, so it's going to be a mono signal, you know, just one mic on the kick drum. And then we're going to go in here and we're going to find in the browser, we're going to find a kick drum that works, that we can find like an inside-outside kick drum, right? We're not going to find the room, because I think we can use those room mics they already have. But let's just start trying to find something through these kit presets. So these kit presets are basically like full-on presets of kits, but you'll see what I'm saying. Like if you do a kick, like this says kick 6, there's like many layers to the sample. So if I double-click that, it's going to give me this one. Right? It gives me 3 samples. So basically what it is it's a close mic, a room mic, and then it sounds like a far room mic, okay? So let's put this in here, and I'll show you a little bit about what this can do, and I think it's a very powerful plugin. We can do the mix knob here, so we're not doing full-on sample replacement, but we're getting the sound of the kick drum, you know, thickening it out. We can also mute these. What I like to do is just start with the close mic and just see what we can get out of it and match a kick drum sound that's going to work with this kit. Okay, so let's hear this with the kick and the snare. Let's hear it. I mean, I honestly, right away, I'm like, that's great. That sounds 10,000 times better, right? Just if I bypass this kick, this trigger, let's just bypass that in and out, just so you can hear what I'm talking about. Okay, so I really like that. I think maybe we could use a little bit of a tighter kick sound, like a little bit tighter, meaning not so thum, thum, thum. Like it's kind of floppy, like the head of the kick drum is. So let's just go through and try to find something a little bit tighter. Maybe a crisp rock kick. Let's give this a shot here. So already that sounds way better to me. The best part about this plugin is you can actually just like print this offline if you wanted to right now, just to have the kick sound. So for example, I could take this track, and I do this very often, right? Like I'll take this, I'll duplicate it. So I'll go to duplicate, and I will duplicate everything, the active playlist, everything. So I got the kick here, and then I'll call this, you know, sampled kick, you know, or you could call it slate kick or whatever you feel like. Then we could take that trigger off, right? So you can bypass the plugin by holding down Command and left clicking on it, or you can hit or hold down Control and Command, and that's going to turn it off, like turn it off, which I highly recommend if you're trying to just like kill processing. Okay, on this trigger, I'm now going to go 100% mix on this. And then I'm going to blend in just a little bit of that. And I'm not going to have this in here because this is like a far room mic. We don't really even need that. This feels more like an outside kick mic. And then I'm going to turn this up. I'm going to bring up the volume here. And that's about it right there. So now I can just print this offline. So this kick will be just replaced by the trigger too. All right. So what you can do is you right click on the actual region or clip, right? And we can say, or maybe you don't do it this way, I'm sorry. So you don't want to do that. I think you want to do it on the track, commit. Yeah, so see, if you right click on the track title, like where it says sampled kick, you can hit commit, and it's going to commit everything that you have so far. So I want to commit the selected tracks, and I want to say volume and mute. Sure, I don't really care. There's no automation, so turn that off. It says copy, sends, and group assignments. Yes, because we're going to commit it, and then it's going to copy over everything, which means like it's going to print it. It's going to print through the plugins, and then it's going to copy everything. So source track, let's say just delete, or you can say do nothing. Let's do nothing for now. Let's keep it offline and hit OK. Now it's printing. Now it's going to give me that sampled kick with this performance of the original kick, right? So here you go. Here's your sampled kick. Let's bring this up. We can take this other track and say, let's say hide and make inactive for now. Okay. Now we have the sampled kick, or we have the original kick. Let's hear those two. Like, listen to how much more impact that has. Like, it actually starts to sound like a drum kit now. Now I almost feel like the snare drum could use a little bit more treatment, but I feel like this snare drum's enough to where I can EQ and compress and get a cool tone with it. So for now, it kind of has like that hip hop backbeat. So, you know, that's why I wanted that kick drum to be punchy. For now, what I'm going to do with these kicks now that I have it replaced and I have a good kick sound, I'm going to take these two kicks. So this is the original and here's the sampled, and I'm going to bring them out. I'm holding down Option Shift. I'm going to go to a new track and I'm going to say, you know, kick drums. That's it. Just kick drums, or you can say kick bus. It doesn't matter. I'm going to solo safe that. You don't have to, but you can. I solo safe it, and then I'm going to go take that out the drum mix bus. Okay. So we're going to go back out through our routing again. Okay, now we have these kick drums being fed into this kick drum bus. Now we can kind of EQ and compress them together and sort of meld a sound together. So I'm just going to throw a Pro Q3 on there. Pro Q3 EQ, really easy, very visual, from FabFilter, amazing EQ, love it. Use it on so many things, especially for filtering. That's my main purpose of that. I don't do a whole lot of boosting with it. And then the second plugin I'm going to put on here is I'm just going to give it some compression to just compress it together, kind of glue it. A really great one for kick drums for me is the Neve 33609. I think this is just a great kick drum compressor. This or the API 2500. So I'm going to go the 33609. And then you can just start, you know, typically I'll just start with a preset to get me in the right range. It could be something like drum set, drum kick, drum bus snappy. There you go. Done and done. All right, so we want pretty quick on the recovery. I'm gonna stick with this A1. Attack fast. I don't know. I like slower attack on these are already fast compressors. And then recovery quick. Yeah, cool. 3 to 1's probably good, but I'm gonna try 2 to 1 to start. And let's just hear this. And then the updated version of this has some really cool stuff like a dry wet and all that, and some headroom and link and unlink controls, all that stuff. So let's just hear this and let's start to shape this kick drum into this stuff with the room mics and everything on. And it's pretty loud right now, but you know, we're gonna kind of balance that in. Okay, one trick with like sampled kick drums is to make sure you don't have too much of that papery stuff at the top, because it's so like machine gun, clang, 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 or pling, 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 pling. You know, like that plasticky kind of the head of the drum. So what I typically do is I kind of shave that stuff out, just so it's more punchy and it's fat in the bottom, because we want kind of the room mics and stuff to show off the top timbres, right? So that it sounds more live, like you're not replacing the kick drum. You don't want anyone to be able to tell that you replaced the kick drum, right? Just it was recorded good. That's it. So let's adjust this this compressor to give us just, you know, a couple dB of gain reduction. Okay, so my thought process right now is the kick in just sounds like way too aggressive. Like it's like it's like punching you super hard, like we're on this is a trap track or something, right? Like it's just too much. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shape it a little bit. I was trying to drag the fab down, but the 33609 is naturally a stereo compressor, so it made a stereo channel out of this kick drums bus. So now I'm going to shape this one to fit a little bit more into this sampled kick, so it's a little bit more pillowy and not so aggressive, because there's a gate on it and you can hear that gate really being aggressive. Also, by the way, at every step, I'm trying to shave off and save voltage, you know, down here, because this is all garbage mainly, right? Like I don't need anything below 25 hertz. Especially in a rock kind of track, it's kind of ridiculous. So I'm just saving voltage so that I can get a louder master, so I can get more, you know, more loudness, more competitiveness. So let's keep going. See, so I'm just shaping it a little bit, get the top. The reason I rolled out the top is because when you hear a gate, it's going to be like mainly the top stuff that's going to trigger the ear. It's going to be the stuff that goes like, you know, like you're getting that like top end stuff. But if you hear the low end being gated, it's going to sound more like, poof, poof, poof. You know what I mean? Like you don't hear the gate cutting off as much. So just to show you that point, I'm going to solo out this kick drum, so you can really hear what it's doing. So hopefully that makes sense. You're not hearing that clack, 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 clack. You know, it just sounds so bad. It just doesn't sound like a kick drum at all. Like I said, it sounds like a paper bag, like, you know, or like you got a felt tip like hitting a paper box or something. So the kick drum sounding starting to sound really cool. I really like it. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to start bringing this snare in and getting this snare tone to go with it.
Out.
I actually really like this RCA. It sounds very vibey. What I want to do with it is I want to shape it a little bit, and I actually want to go more vintage with it. So I actually might do like some tape stuff with it, because it's a ribbon mic. You can hear it's very mono. So it just has like a cool vibe, and I think we can do something cool to add this to the snare tone. The snare tone it kind of needs that like more punch, you know, and it also needs, you need to be able to hear the release of the snare rather than it going kung, 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 kung. You know, like we want to hear the rolling notes, the ghost notes and things. So we're going to try to get that out of these two mics. I'm going to try to get that out of the RCA 18. I don't know what this actually is, but so let's hear the snare and the RCA room mic here. Another thing I want to do, I really like this because you can actually hear the kick in it as well, and the kick doesn't sound bad in this mic. So another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to compress it, and I'll either use an R comp. I might actually, to switch it up a little bit and give it a little more breath, I'm going to do an 1176, a UAD. Let's see, let's do the, I mean, everybody's got the Legacy, so I'll use something everybody's got that comes with, yeah, okay. So this just comes with UAD. I'm pretty sure the Legacy does. So let's just get like a little compression going here. We can even go like snare crack to start, but I'll probably want a little slower on the attack. Fast release is good, and then I'll probably go like 8-1 or even further. I might even limit, right? So let's check this out. Interesting how that room mic really just opens up the kit, right? So we smashed it to hell, basically bringing up the low level information from that. I attack really hard on the 1176 so that I'm not getting too much of the attack on the drums, right? Like I'm using this to low level information, bring it up so that you can actually hear the kit. All the close mics are way too gated. It just doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound cool. So replacing that kick drum was like a really great call. But also I had to go back and kind of like adjust some things for the kick drum, and I'll adjust as I go, always, right? But these room mics are doing great. I'm loving this RCA. I'm loving what it's doing. So good job with that, guys, for the recording. And I'll just blend that in where it needs it. Maybe I'll bring in more during the choruses, you know, to give it a little more energy, bringing it back a little bit on the verses or when it's just acoustic guitar and a jammy kind of thing. So right now I'm really starting to dig the drum sound. Let's start bringing in the overheads and the hat and ride, and just start kind of blending these up and just seeing where we can get a little more crispiness, a little more air on the top. See if we can get that out of the overheads here. So I'm just going to bring these overheads in and see if we can blend this in and get this kit sounding cool.